Hi guys, this is Klazart bringing another audio commentary, and no, this does not mean that I'm back. This is just a break I'm taking. I was kind of bored, so I thought I'd do this for a little bit of fun. Anyway, I'm commentating today on a game between Midas and Kwanro, who is basically an unheard of Zerg player who's fought his way up through the challenge leagues and through the ranks up into the on-game.net duel tournament. And he's a pretty decent Zerg player from what I've seen. He seems to have a pretty decent overall gameplay style. He did get completely destroyed by Midas on Monty Hall though in Game 1. This is actually the losers final of the on-game.net duel tournament, which is basically the qualification tournament for the OSL. So the winner of this match will go through to the next OSL to participate in the next OSL. Midas obviously is a Terran player who has some notoriety associated with him. He famously, not last season but the season before, picked Savior in the quarterfinals as his opponent when he could have picked an easier opponent, saying he relished the challenge. And it was a great series between these two guys, but unfortunately Savior ended up destroying Midas. And most of the other pro gamers I remember at the time were quite happy that Savior and Midas were facing each other because both were in ferocious form at that time. Midas hasn't really recovered ever since that. He does seem to get stressed out very easily, does seem to crumble under the big stage, and so definitely that has been a problem for him, even though he's a solid Terran player. Kwanro is a player who, as I said, is completely unheard of. They played Game 1 of the duel tournament earlier on Monty Hall, and Kwanro was completely destroyed on that map by Midas. Midas went for a very interesting and unique strategy, went for kind of a fast Wraith build, and Kwanro just had no answers at all and was completely destroyed. But I do feel that Monty Hall wasn't really a fair test of the young Zerg player's talents, and I think we'll see probably a more even matchup here on this map, and we'll see if he really has what it takes or not to qualify for the OSL. Midas is definitely very strong when it comes to Terran versus Zerg. As I said, he's one of the players who was considered capable of challenging Savior in his prime, and we can definitely say that Savior definitely is not as good as he was, well, not as dominant as he was, a bit like one of the great cricket players, Brian Lara or Sachin Tendulkar. And I know a lot of you guys don't watch cricket, but these guys, when they were in their best, they dominated to the point where other their opponents just couldn't play against them, and that's the kind of dominance that Savior was exerting at a time where Midas actually was able to challenge him. The map that we're playing on at this point in time is Desperado. It's an interesting map because you've got the two gas in the main, and you've got Kwanro in the purple Zerg just starting up, and he's playing at the 5 o'clock, at the 4 o'clock position, and Midas is up at around 10 o'clock. And Midas is going for 2 racks build, and Kwanro has scouted this with that early drone. He sent that drone out quite early to scout because his Overlord hadn't found Midas, and he's scouted this. So Midas going for kind of an early medic and marine push as well as the command center. So he's gone for 2 racks command center, and Kwanro has got for a standard 3 hatchery build. So actually, it's actually a pretty standard strategy. Sorry, I was just a little overexcited there when I saw the 2 racks, but it's actually a pretty standard strategy because Midas did go for that command center first. So Kwanro has spotted this, and this is what one of the things a lot of Terran players do, is they do go for that early command center to neutralize the Zerg 3 hatchery build, because it can be very difficult to counter, and that's why the Terran players go for that build. I think that it'll be interesting to see what sort of strategy the Zerg player employs on this map. We've seen a lot of Zerg players struggle on this map. We saw Gorash go for a very unique strategy. So far it looks like Kwanro is going for a pretty standard build, and he might find himself in a little bit of trouble. The key, of course, is going to be for Midas is going to be to pressure Kwanro early on, and Midas is just getting that, and the thing is, Kwanro has scouted that Midas has gone for that early command center, so it'll be interesting to see if he adapts his strategy accordingly, if he decides to be risky and maybe put another hatchery down somewhere. The problem is he's already put his 3rd hatchery down, so he can't put his 3rd hatchery down at one of the other bases to try and maybe get another extra gas. 4 gas Zergs are absolutely lethal in this, and we saw Gorash do that versus Savior, go for a 2 hatchery build, and Kwanro looks like he's got quite a few Zerglings there. Kwanro's got quite a few, just produced a few Zerglings from his main, and Midas now has sent that SCV out. He doesn't know what Kwanro is building in his base. Midas has got a group of Marines out, so this is going to make for an interesting game. Looks like this is going to make for a longer game. Certainly both players playing a more standard game on this occasion than they played on Monty Hall. Midas getting that academy up as well, so he's going to have his medic and marine push. Kwanro just venturing forth with those Zerglings, and they don't look to me to be speed upgraded at this point in time. It's just those first group of Zerglings. He's probably just going to explore and see what Midas has. Midas has more than enough Marines to cope with this, though. Those Zerglings aren't really going to bother him too much. and Kwanro is probably not going to be able to. And Kwanro is actually setting up. So Kwanro is going. Looks like he's going for a 3. And his Zerglings are now speed upgrade. You can just see how much faster they're moving there. And it looks like Kwanro is going for a 3-hash Ling build. We've seen Oversky do this very effectively versus Protoss players. It's rare to see this done versus Terran players. It's a very risky strategy, especially since Midas should have that medic popping out anytime soon, and he's got his academy up. So with stims and medics, it's going to be very difficult. But Kwanro's got a very large group of Zerglings. This is pretty much an all-in attack by Kwanro. He needs to succeed with this, and it's definitely a risky strategy. Maybe he feels that he cannot take Midas on in the longer game, and that Overlord just wandered over, and Kwanro with that Overlord on the other side is moving those Zerglings. Brilliant background there. He surrounds the Marines from both sides, and the Marines are getting taken out. This is great. I can't believe he's actually going to be able to do this. Midas, I'm not sure if Midas had stim there, but those Marines got taken out. Midas has got Firebats popping up though, and he's using SCVs to block. Those Firebats should be able to combat the Zerglings. Kwanro moves the Zerglings back. He's going for the mineral line at the expansion of Midas. He's gone for the expansion, and he's managed to pick off about 3 SCVs, 4 SCVs already. Those Firebats should be able to now kill off those Zerglings, but Kwanro's got more reinforcements streaming in. He's pumping those Zerglings, and now those Zerglings are actually able to get out the ramp. But Midas with those 4 Firebats, with great defending, great micro by Midas, he manages to kill off all the Zerglings, but only one of his Firebats survive. This is going to give Midas some breathing space, and now Kwanro might be in a little bit of trouble here, because Midas has, and Kwanro with a couple of Zerglings doing some great micro. Once again, picking off a single SCV with a single Zergling. That Firebat is low in health. That Firebat the only thing defending for Midas at this point in time. Midas needs to get a few more units out and block that round. Midas now just pumping Firebats to counter Kwanro's build. Kwanro's already got that layer up in his power building, and Midas might be in a little bit of trouble here. I thought it was Kwanro who was going to be in trouble after that Zergling rush failed, but he has killed a few of Midas' SCVs. Midas is pumping from those 2 racks, but the problem for Midas is that he's been concentrating on producing Firebats. He doesn't have a lot of Marines. He's lost all of his initial Marines, and Kwanro's got that layer up. He's got his power building, so when those Mutalisks come, Midas might have a tough time defending, and Kwanro with some great Zergling micro with very few Zerglings keeps picking off those SCVs, keeps hurting, and once again Kwanro barrels up that ramp, and this is great move by Kwanro. He's forcing Midas to defend on multiple fronts. He forced Midas to pull his Firebats at the Natural Expo and managed to sneak the Zerglings in around into the main, and now those Zerglings are in Midas' main, and Midas is in trouble here because he doesn't have enough troops to defend both the Expo and the main. Kwanro's spar is up, so Kwanro dealing some significant damage here to Midas. Midas in a little bit of trouble, and Kwanro doing a great job here. Midas doesn't have any defenses up yet. He's now producing a few Marines because he realizes that those Mutalisks are going to be coming soon.